Shameless plug here, y'all, but Geekset.
Samurai Champloo.
Trendsetters?
Believe it or not, actually anime is something that I think of when I think of blacks and nerds. And I don't know, I don't really know how that started, but if I had to associate the two words, it's really that, because I know so many black people who are so into anime. Like, it's not just for, I think the word weeaboo, we hear that word a lot. And I think we kind of always think of a white guy in his basement with like the anime waifu pillows, but I don't think it's just that. I think like it can be something that's very cross-cultural. And I think that when I think of anime, I think of like, there's so many black friends of mine that love Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, like Bleach, all that classic stuff, and like a lot of the new stuff coming out too. So I really just think word association, it would have to be that. And I know a lot of guys also, like one of my friends, we have a thing we're kind of building right now. It's going to be a company, multimedia. It's called Anime and Hip Hop. And it's kind of like building just on the foundation of black geek culture and incorporating the music with the visuals and doing a lot of original things. So I think that's what I take and kind of associate those two words.
The first thing that comes to mind is Boondocks, and Boondocks for me is a fusion of black culture and blerd culture, and I like the way that they throw historical shit in there. It may be exaggerated and it may be bullshit and satire and jokes that they making, but there's like real historical shit in there that you can go back and like really look at if you want the full story, and you get some of that from Boondocks. Boondocks is a show that fits my personality on the line between serious and joking so well. And so if I ever have to fuse those cultures, the first thing I look at is Boondocks every time.
Right now, static. Let me see. There's this guy called right now I think about this guy called Gay Black Comic Geek, I believe. I follow him on like social media, and he's always giving these takes about characters that he wished we had. And I think about him when you say that, because I think about the characters that he mentions that I would love to see that we still haven't seen yet, and I feel like we are still getting there. I just want more of that. I don't know. That's just what I think about. When you first say that, I just think about I want more of it. We don't have enough of it. That's I guess that's where my mind goes. And he's one that provides characters I've never heard of sometimes.
Black History Month and blerd culture. The first thing that comes to mind is Black Panther. Black Panther and Storm, I just picture them as just the icons because, of course, they are one of the most notably Black characters out there. And I just, again, seeing them come from such a beautiful kingdom, of Wakanda and stuff like that is amazing. And I want to be a part of that. So if I'm going to cosplay as Storm, I'm going to cosplay as Storm. If I'm going to cosplay as T'Challa, then I'm going to do it. And it's going to make me be able to show my Blackness, also my blerdness in this geek community.
Dope cosplays. I think that's the first thing.
Black Panther.
That was a good one. I like how it was just the one answer too, though. Like, you don't even got to say anything else.
Black History Month plus blerd culture was the first thing that comes to mind. I don't want to, for some reason, it's giving me Misty Knight right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody might highlight that. I'm a big comic book guy, so everyone will highlight like Black Panther being the first African superhero, Sam Wilson being the first African-American superhero. But like, Misty Knight was really doing her thing in the 70s, man. And like, I feel like a lot of the women characters and or Black women characters in comic books don't really get that much shine. Especially Monica Rambeau, man. No, you know what? Monica Rambeau and Misty Knight, that's what the first Black nerd and Black history for me, man. Monica Rambeau needs more respect put on her name, but she's in a Marvel movie and a Marvel Disney series. I don't care. I want more respect put on that woman's name.
This is probably going to be a really weird answer if I say this, but I'm really trying to think of what the first thing is that comes to mind. And I would have to say the memes. The memes that we create surrounding either Black History Month or just in general blerd culture, whether it's gaming, anime, but are tied into Blackness in some form or fashion is hilarious. Whether it's photoshopping Supreme or a do-rag or a kufi onto, you know, some character, it's hilarious. That's literally the first thing that I think of.
Oh, that's a good one. I think about the arcade for me personally. Maybe not blerd culture as a whole, but I think when I think back about my own personal story, it's me and my cousin, you know, in the arcade playing Street Fighter, in the mall on the arcade machines playing, you know, Mortal Kombat. A lot of it for me is video games. But then if I think about things historically, it's like you know, seeing Billy D. Williams in Star Wars. God, I mean, even more recent history. I mean, you have Black Panther. I mean, all of these things that just kind of like let you see, you know, Black people in stardom. I think that's what I think of first.
Gerald Lawson. I was just playing video games, and I think without what he and his team did, there wouldn't be a video game industry like it was. If you don't know who he is the creator of the video game cartridge. Him and his team, they were working on starting a console, and that's how we got the actual cartridge. And I think without that, I don't think video games would have had the explosion that they did.
Dwayne McDuffie, Milestone Comics, all that good stuff. That stuff automatically comes to mind. Like they was pushing levels. Like they was doing a lot of stuff a lot of people weren't doing, and they weren't trying to like be like. It's like they had Rocket out there. Like she's a teen mom. Like we pushing it. It's like Icon. He was over there. Like his little Clarence Thomas, but yeah, all right though. He came around, but they pushed the bar. It wasn't just one thing. It's like you had Static, like he was like that quintessential teenage thing, you know, and then you even had guys like Buck Wild who's just out there wild. But Milestone Comics comes to mind first. Like that's it.
First thing that comes to mind with Black History Month and blerd culture is 28 Days of Black Cosplay. That's something that I always look forward to seeing on my Twitter timeline, or even us at Black Girl Nerds reporting it. 28 Days of Black Cosplay has been an amazing trend that's happened within the last few years, and I'm even proud to have been a part of. And I love seeing it continue to thrive, even kind of stepping back from it. So yeah, 28 Days of Black Cosplay is something that I think about when I think about Black History Month and blerd culture.
Okay, that's easy. It will be comics, it will be superheroes, it will be fantasy, it will be Afrofuturism. Basically, all these kind of stories that more often than not, we are as group like outsiders. So there are so many opportunities to learn and to bring to mind great characters, great stories, to promote great artists and writers. So this is the first things that come to mind: promotion of new writers, new authors, new artists.
I think anime. Just because we have kind of claimed a section of anime for our own, and we've gotten more representation in that specific wide pop culture industry.
Oh man, wait a minute. Wow. The first thing I would say that comes to mind is, especially growing up being a kid, is like seeing Storm. You know, I was able to be like, wow, we got Black superheroes, and not like our Black historical superheroes or those in the present, but like have these apparent superpowers. Like that was my first blerd moment, was seeing, you know, Storm on the X-Men cartoon series. And I was like, wow, that's a Black woman, and she's strong, she's powerful. And the way her grace, you know, that she has. So that was like my first blerd moment that solidified Blerd and Black history all in one?
An opportunity to bridge the gap with social issues that we face and opportunities that we see with disruptive technologies like the blockchain. You know, there's still a disconnect, there's still a disparity between even the Blerd community and cosplay culture and decentralized crypto and blockchain culture. I'm sure there are people who are invested in it, who also dabble in cosplay, who mess with anime, who are in the Blerd community, but I feel like there's no direct connection, there's no real hunger there between the two to bridge that gap, because those of us who identify as Blerds, we already know what it feels like to be on the edge, so to speak, on the fringes, so to speak, in terms of social circles, in terms of our understanding of ourselves, and even the ways in which we feel connected to what we're conditioned to perceive as Blackness. You know, as Blerds, we already feel like we're on the fringes of that. So with that in mind, it makes sense for us to pursue these opportunities technologically that are on the fringes of what society is doing in that regard. And therefore, I see a huge opportunity here for those of us who do exist within the Blerd community, who do exist on the fringes in all of these ways, to take advantage of it in ways that a lot of the society at large in which we live has yet to do. And I think that coincides perfectly with what we see from the innovations we celebrate during Black History Month, because that's exactly what every one of these people who we celebrate did. You know, whether they existed on the fringes, whether they were surviving segregation or navigating Jim Crow, they specifically used what they had available and they did things with it that completely changed history. And I think we have the opportunity to do that there now as Blerds existing on the blockchain.
Honestly, arcades. It's one of the things in my city. I live in Louisville. It's one of the things that was pretty prevalent in my city. Black-owned arcades were really big when I was younger. They're not around anymore, unfortunately, but when I think of Black history and Blerd culture, it was definitely that, like the Black-owned theaters that used to do Black History Month deals back in the day. Like, just thinking about that, it just brings us together as a family.
So if I'm putting together Black History Month and Blerd culture, for me, I'm going to say art. Because like when you're getting like the Black version of anime characters, or you're seeing creators like Marco Bernard or Justin Richburg or Carl Jones, or just like all these people that like they're creating these characters and they're anime inspired, but like the jokes within the art is Black. You know, like when, you know, we as a culture, we started saying Piccolo was Black, and then you started seeing artwork of that, of Piccolo in Black settings doing Black things. And like all the funny memes that we do, or just things that are associated with it, when it gets immortalized in art, like that to me is Blerd culture and Black History Month. It's like, it's us really showcasing that and putting that together. And that's what I would say if I had to put together Black History Month and Blerd culture together. That's the first thing that I think of.
What do I think? Let's see. The first thing I think of is literally just anime. Just, I just think about like how cool it is to be Black and be a Blerd at the same time, and we actually have our own name. To be honest, there's weaves. There's only weaves. Yeah, there's weaves, and there's Blerd. And I never understood what Blerd meant until probably like 2 years ago, when I started getting more in depth with like conventions and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you're a Blerd. I'm like, what's that? It's like a Black nerd. I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty. I like the way that sounds, because it's a style. It's literally we make one little thing into a style. Like just this. Like we could just say Black nerds, but we say no, we're Blerds. I'm like, yeah, I mess with that heavy. That's really nice. So now I just call myself a Blerd just because like I'm Black and I love comic books, but I'm more in depth with anime than anything. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. First one is braids. The second one is curly wigs, because I don't know, I've seen a lot of different Black people use curly wigs recently in their cosplays, and I think that really cool. And my roommate also has a wig rig, so I think that too. The third one is, I think of Yasuke, because I just recently watched Yasuke, and I know they got nominated for the NAACP award too, so that was on my mind. I forgot the other two, but that's the top three that popped into my head.
the content. Everybody's doing everything. Seeing so many other Black people just being Black people. I feel like that the month's the blackest of the month, but blackest of the year. So that's pretty much what I see.
Well, definitely Dwayne McDuffie. What else comes to mind? Wakanda Forever. I think I think the way Black people, came together to watch a movie to ensure that the representation that we are looking for is seen, felt, and cannot be denied. I don't think we will see anything like that for a while. So definitely Wakanda Forever. Boondocks. I would definitely go with Boondocks. Boondocks is definitely a Black history moment in Blerd culture. Literally the hustle from going from, being in Chicago Sun-Times newspaper to going from, comic strips to becoming like this staple in pop culture to being on TV. I don't think we'll see anything like that ever again. That was such a important moment in Black culture and definitely Blerd culture.
Definitely when I see cosplayers incorporating Black culture, so like the afro looks like in the cosplays, and also just like sometimes bring in like clothes from like their culture, whether it's Africa or Haiti or whatever it might be, and just definitely just the amount of Black representation that's slowly starting to be put into the anime world, because we mainly see just Japanese people. So it's nice to see all these companies start to really push out more Black people, and I hope that this world will finally be able to accept that there's Black anime characters just like there's white anime characters, just like there's Japanese anime characters, there's Black ones too, and we're no different from them.
Black History Month plus Blerd culture. Shoot, Black anime. Shout out to Afro Samurai. Shout out to Ogun Montgomery. Shout out to Killick Rung. You know what I'm saying? All the Black anime characters out there, and we need more of it. Shout out to all the Black voice actors. Shout out to everybody that's Black that's in anime. You guys are really inspiring.
This is gonna sound weird. So my nerdism is multifaceted. It goes from anime to K-dramas to animes in China. So one thing that when it automatically comes to mind is AMVs, which are animated music videos that fans just put together, fan vids, and then you get a lot of Taylor Swift in the background. You get a lot of I don't know, Britney Spears, cool. Hold on, just any kind of pop. But then you'll see somebody come around. I'm like, you know what? The perfect soundtrack to this is hip hop, and then you get this dope AMV, Bleach, Naruto, even these Korean dramas, some of these anime novels that get turned into series, and then people are doing these fan vids. When people put that hip hop to it, it changes everything about it. And this is my platform as president, that going forward, we think about hip hop on animated music videos more often, so that I can stop listening to Taylor Swift when I see somebody fight.
Space. I mean, I'm from space, so it only makes sense. I feel like we all exist in space, and Blackness is space. Space is Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, space is the black hole, it's the voids, and all these other things. It's the Unknown. So space is the place, and the word is.
Black History Month plus Blerd culture. I probably. I gotta go with Aura off Star Trek, right? Let's like the blueprint of black folks in sci-fi and in the future, because there's so much sci-fi that is written in the future where ain't no Black people, right? And so like Star Trek being something from the 70s, 80s, and projecting a future in which you had this Black woman that had so much authority and was such a symbol and such a flashpoint, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
Miles Morales. That's the first thing I think about, because so many people, they were into comic books and everything like that, and I feel like Peter Parker was the representative of like a normal person like in the United States, and then it was like Miles Morales is like the normal, you know, Black person in the United States. You see his struggle, you see everything that he has to overcome, but he's his own person. That's the thing. Like, even though he's Spider-Man, he's his own Spider-Man. He's not Peter Parker. And I think that type of representation in the nerd culture is definitely, and in the geek culture is definitely what we need. And I love Miles so much. He's literally one of my favorite superheroes in Marvel and in DC overall.
That is definitely a very interesting question. I guess kind of first thing kind of comes to my mind is just once again just kind of just celebrating how we showcase our love for all things nerdy. You know, whether it be our, you know, the way we might cosplay our favorite characters, to the way we might kind of remix nerdy music and stuff, whatever, but have, you know, our cultural touched on it and stuff to it. But yeah, that's kind of my simple answer to that one.
Music, actually. I think that I feel like when it comes to the Blerd community and music, I know that there's probably a lot of people who would probably say it's okay. So for me, the reason why I say music is because the first thing I think of when I take Blerd and like Black History Month, I immediately think of anime, but I mostly think of like Samurai Champloo, where it's just integrating hip hop and anime is like literally, that's me in a nutshell, because I'm half Asian and half Black. Like, it's like the perfect meld of things. So that's where my brain always goes to. It's just finding that amazing type of music that just elevates everything. And that's just one of the things that will always kind of, whether it's video games, anime, movies, whatever, like I feel like when it comes to a soundtrack, a score, or whatever, like there's just something about it that will always make it 10 times better. And that's where I think my word association is. And it will always be something that I will always cherish and everything like that, because I feel like music is very universal, but there's always just something a little bit more when you add it to something that you weren't expecting, especially when it comes to hip hop or R&B or anything. It really kind of, again, sets like the tone, but also paves the way for just really good music. So